The rocks work we have just covered together has at least two benefits for your hunt. First, it anchors your hunt and career journey in life's priorities. Second, it introduces this chunking and nesting practice of grouping concepts, which works well for our brain, and we're going to use it again right now. Clarifying and personalizing our hunt using two triangles works in the same way. So please find the triangle sheet in your workbook. In this section, I invite you to imagine the triangles as almost like pyramids collecting your hierarchy of stories for how you talk about your job search. They help you articulate via the left triangle what you really want from the next role. What has to be in it? The right-hand triangle articulates what you're excited to bring to the next role. At the top of both pyramids might be the classic one-sentence elevator pitch. On the left side, a sentence on who you are and what you're looking for in the ideal job. The right-hand sentence would describe how you could bring unique perspective and experience to solve the problem of the role in hand. In coffee chats, emails, warm intros, and of course the interviews themselves, you nearly always have a bit more time than an elevator ride to tell your story. So I focus on the one level down when coaching and teaching. On the I want triangle, what are the key ingredients in the next role that you do really want? Can you combine the list in a coherent way such that it comes up to 3 to 5 key areas? Just as with life's rocks, 4 seems to be the sweet spot. Beneath these 4 key ingredients, let's label them A, B, C, and D for now, you can dock in your favorite stories that back up each of them. If you find you have way too many stories for one key ingredient, this may be a sign that you have too many stories, and that might be for a listening hiring manager too. If you have no stories and just an assertion, is that really a key element of your hunt that you want? It may be, but why do you have no supporting stories for that point? For what these 4 key ingredients might be, I invite you to look back at your answers to purpose and career purpose worksheets. What really must be in your next role? If you feel like you need more help on this, again, talking to a friend is great, and especially one that knows that you're hunting. And do try the Yearning Octopus exercise that's coming up in the next section. When I'm coaching one-on-one and helping someone tease out what they're really looking for, I find that there's normally one on the subject or problem that you're passionate about solving, one on any of the huge or nothing points, if there is one. If you remember, geography might be one or something else like that. One on the kind of work you want to do, the practice of the work, and one on the nature of the people, the team, the culture that you want to join. It need not at all be grouped like these for you, but these have tended to come up regularly. For example, A might be climate change, B might be USA West Coast, and C might be startup, and D might be motivated teammates. Stories might then include, for B is USA West Coast, you then need 3 stories to describe why West Coast is best. Perhaps these could include 1, I'm excited about innovation happening in that region, happening in renewable energy. 2, my partner and I are settling in San Francisco near their family. And 3, growing up on the West Coast, I have an affinity with this region. For D, if it is important to you to have motivated teammates, the detailed stories could include a push reason, a pull reason, a personal reason. For example, a push, I get the most out of in-person time. Pull, I was inspired by my ex-boss in my previous role who ran a great team. And maybe a personal reason, I'm coming out of a dysfunctional remote team where the boss didn't have the skills to build a functioning team, and I don't want to repeat that. The right-hand triangle is the I'm excited to bring triangle. What do you know you're good at? Think back to your answer to 1B on your purpose worksheet. When grouping and creating these, do not forget to clearly state what you may consider obvious. When career coaching to Yale grads, I often find that their incredible degree, a master's of environmental management, looking at climate job, is not mentioned, as they had taken it for granted when surrounded by others studying the same degree. Likewise, the particular nuanced skills of startup or large corporate C-suite experience might be taken for granted by you and others where you are, but not where you may be going. Be thorough and try to get in the heads and hearts of the people who may want to hire you. So once you have your 4, let's say E, F, G, and H, then underneath and connected are your great life stories that bring each of these to life. F1, F2, F3, for instance, could be 3 stories that demonstrate why and how you can be relied on to bring F in spades. For example, maybe F is that you bring strong communication skills to bridge the science with the commercial aspects of launching a product or service. Story F1 could be about the time you wrote an op-ed for lay readers on a complex scientific advance in your field while still a student. F2 could be when you created a business plan for a product launch that ended up being funded by the company. And F3 might be the story of your old business development role for a tech startup where it was your responsibility to show the clients how the complex science would save them money. Questions to keep in mind throughout this sketching process is like, what do I know I'm really good at? What have I learned that it has been and or could be useful to others? And what of my unique lived experience could be useful to share? In addition to reflection and pooling in answers from the purpose module, it can take coaching and or good conversations with those who know you well to tease out those 4 reasons that make you the perfect candidate for your hunt. In place of us having a one-on-one together, I like pulling on the Yearning Octopus, which appears in a long and excellent thought piece from Tim Urban on careers in his Wait But Why, which I link to in the course notes and encourage you to read when you have the time. You can think of yourself like a yearning octopus. Each of your arms is pulling you towards something, a topic you care about, a way of working you love, a problem you want to solve, a lifestyle you crave. These arms are your yearnings, your longings, and the center of the octopus, the body, is you. This image might sound or look a little strange, but it can be helpful. Instead of saying I'm confused, I don't know what I want, you can say I have a lot of arms reaching out. Let me get curious about them. You don't need to figure out everything right now, but you can start to name and observe what's pulling you. There are personal aspirations to consider, such as achieving your potential, whatever you have conjured that up to mean. There are lifestyle yearnings, balance and flexibility, and moral, maybe a desire to have impact. And then there's the social aspect. For example, is respect, approval important for you? And there is the practical, having food on the table, to paying off debt, to school fees for yourself or family members. What you can do is look at each of these arms and honestly assess what you're looking for. As we talk about in systems thinking, ask why a lot. For example, if you've been thinking, I want to work at a startup, ask yourself why. You might say, because I want to be around people who are excited. And then you can ask why again. Why do I want to be around people who are excited? And you might say, because I felt stuck in my last job and I miss that feeling of energy. Keep going until you get to something that feels true and deep. You're trying to get to a core yearning. In this case, it might be a social one of belonging and a personal love of learning. As you look more carefully at what you really want, keep hold of the ones that seem to feed your inner scientist or philosopher or thinker. You find something that you can get excited about talking about and then working on. You will also likely be very compelling in an interview. And then maybe consider editing or replacing the wants that on closer examination seem to be fed to you by others, forced on you by the expectations of society, friends, parents. This is easy for me to prompt you, but often very hard to do. And third, if you just know why something is important, can you go back to that one and dig a little and see if it's got roots in that number 1? Or is there an external pressure of number 2? And edit those wants accordingly. Again, this why game is often better in company. Have a coach or a friend ask you why after each of your answers on what you're really looking for from the next role. It can feel a little funny or forced at first, but it often leads to powerful insights. So what are your octopus arms reaching for? What do you really want? This exercise, again, isn't about perfect answers yet. It's about being curious. The point isn't to overanalyze or pressure yourself to get something right. It's just to notice. My Yearning Octopus has an arm reaching towards climate policy and another towards creative writing. What's that about? These insights can help guide your next experiments, your next conversations, your next reflections, and your next role. And often it helps you refine your rocks. You might rename them, reorder them, or realize one needs to go entirely. So let's get underneath your priorities to the yearning.